Welcome to the Illuminati broadcast. My name is King David. I'm your Messiah, and I am your God. What's up, y'all? All right, so let's talk about the ephod real quick. All right, so what I'm thinking of adding is from here, because this is Aleph, right? So this is how you say like the silent word ah, and it goes all the way up to here. Which one connects from here? So this one will connect down this way, right? Keep going. Yep, so these connect, right? These two letters. And this would be the final letter in the water signs. But let's kind of count real quick. So we have 2, because we're going to count. This is a clock, right? So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, 34, 36, 38, what's 38, 40, 42, 44, 46, 48, 50. So that lets you know this is 50. 50 is known as Saturn. That's Phorcys, or Phorcys. He's a knight, and he's the only knight in the Ars Goetia, and he's represented by Saturn. So if we see that, that's like when the sun starts to set, right? That's when the sun is like hitting the earth and going down into the underworld. So I'm thinking of adding like silver lining to it, just to show that it's like that's the nighttime. But if we looked at the sun, I'm wondering, would it be more like right here where the sun's setting? Like, how do I connect these? I don't know. I'm trying to think, like, because I want it to look like, I want it to represent like when the sun's out and when the sun's away. I guess what I want to kind of talk about today is who do we have right now? So Iran is going to attack California, and that's a good thing because it's going to get the fire started, right? Because you need to have passion and you need to have action and motivation, right? Or else nothing's ever gonna happen and nobody's gonna get involved. And California is very oblivious. Nobody talks about politics here or anything that happens with war. Nobody talks about it. Where I'm from is Lancaster, and in school everybody would talk about it. It would be like a big thing because we have army bases there, so, and like Air Force bases, and so we were very invested in knowing about like what's happening around the world, especially when it comes to war, because, you know, we're like the main supply of it, right? That's where we make all the jets. So, but when I come to Los Angeles, and it's still Los Angeles County, but it's on the other side of the mountain. But when you come over to the LA area, nobody talks about the politics, nobody talks about the war, nobody talks about any of those things. They like are oblivious to it. Like, it doesn't even exist. Nobody has mentioned it once except for one person that's really Christian, and he's just like, I'm scared, like I know something's gonna happen, and he's right. Something is gonna happen, right? And the reason why would anybody attack California? It's like on the opposite side of the world compared to Iran, right? Well, all the money comes through California because there's so many people that need help with the government, from the government, like, you know, funding for like Medi-Cal, Medicaid, just like disability, etc., like things like that. Like, there's so much funding, and then they have so many minorities, so it's like there's so much going on that money just is funneled in this direction. So if you hit somewhere where all that money's traveling through, because we're hitting them where their money hurts, right, with the oil, and so they're gonna hurt us where our money is coming from, and it's always gonna come from California. So there's a couple reasons why. So one is because me, obviously, I'm King David, I'm the Messiah, so the money always comes from me. And then 2, and I live in California, right? So then 2, if the money is always being circulated in this area, that's why California usually decides who's going to be the president, who's going to be, how the laws are going to affect the rest of the country, because it's like California is like the main hub of all the politics and all the jurisdictions and everything that happens. So you could be in New York, you could be in Philadelphia, wherever you are. Even if you're like a big city, it's still going to come through to California, because California has all the banks, it has all the Jews, it has everybody that's like anybody there, right? and obviously they're circulating around me like vultures, draining me of my life essence. But so that's kind of like Iran has this idea where they're like, okay, well, if we attack the Messiah's stronghold, then we can free him, right? And from their control, because what the Iranians believe is that like they're not taking care of the Messiah, right? So then they have to destroy America. And then the Americans are like, well, we're going to keep the Messiah a secret. So there's this really big battle, right? And then Israel is like, we don't care, we're just going to destroy everything. So a lot of people are saying, oh, Israel's secretly hoping that America loses. And that's why, because they want to be able to open up that hidden, that I guess you call it a tabernacle, but kind of like a covenant, right? They want to open up that box. And they're like, we know the Messiah is in California, we know that he exists, but you guys aren't revealing him, and you guys aren't sharing it with the world. You're just keeping it to yourself, and you're draining us all. You're like draining him, like you're basically holding him prisoner. So they have this idea like, all right, we got to open this box and we got to make things happen. And America's just like, do they even believe that I'm the Messiah? Do they believe I'm God? Or do they think like I'm an antichrist? Or do they even just think I'm just a normal crazy person, right? So it's like kind of up in the air, and we get to see that. I've been doing a lot of spells to like connect everybody, like a string, right? So like I'll put a string on one person, and then I'll put it on another person, then I'll put it on another person, then I'll put it on another person. I remember when I was younger, I used to play this game. I think it's called dang, I wish I could remember. It's a ninja game. It's about ninjas. It's not called Tenchi Muyo. It's called like Tenshin. No, maybe not Tenshin. Something with a T, I think. But anyways, in the game, you're supposed to be silent, you know, like moving through the camp, your enemy's camp, really silently. And sometimes you'll trip over these wires with bells, and they'll be like, and then it'll let them know that you're like going through their forest, right? So that's kind of what I'm doing. I'm tying everybody up with these strings of bells. So every time they move, those bells ring and they travel through, and I have spirits observing it. So the spirit will be like, oh, I know who is connected to this person, who's connected to this person, and who's connected to that person. And I have variables, so it'll be like, all right, this person's connected because spiritually they rely on their prayers. Because like, you know, sometimes you have a grandma, right? And you're like, please grandma, pray for me so that good things can happen. And when she does, good things happen for you, right? Because prayer works. If somebody's praying for you, it's gonna help you. So I have these strings attached to them to be like, okay, who's praying for my enemies, so I could destroy them and the enemy. Like, just take out everybody magically with that direction. So I'm just teaching you how spiritual warfare works. Remember, this is all for entertainment purposes only. This is Castle Demon Lord. It's a game, and it's how you play. So everybody's connected. It's like Jumanji. Whatever happens in this game happens in the real world, and everyone's forced to play, and nobody can escape, right? Now it's all silent. Yeah, I live on Skid Row. It's beautiful. All right. You guys should come check it out one day. All right. So anyways, yeah, let's see what else we got. Yeah, so that Tenshin game, I forgot what it's called, like Tenchi Muyo. No, it's called like dang, I wish I could remember. It's a really good game. I used to love it. But I just love the idea that that this ninja had to sneak around, but they knew he was around, so they had a lot of good traps to keep an eye on him. So I'm like, all right, you know what? Let me use their tactics. I love that bell idea. There's a whole ton of video games that do that kind of. What I also liked was in Call of Duty. Whenever I play, I always put the bomb somewhere, so if they trip it, they blow up. And I'm really good with that one, because I'm like a rabbit, so I'll be running around all over the field, and they'll be like, where is he, and then they see me, and then they follow me, and then they boom. Or I would have my character running around, and then I'll have all the other characters like backing me up, so that way if they see somebody chasing me, they just pick off those people, because they're always going to go after my character for some reason. Maybe because mine's like always running around, is always visible, and then my character doesn't really care about like trying to hurt them. It cares more about trying to survive. So then it's easy for the other guys to go and pick them off, right? Like my team to pick them off. And that's why I do really good online games, like even in Fortnite. Like I'll just be running all over the field, and my teammate will be right there, like kind of near me or ahead of me, but always keeping an eye on me, so that way if like somebody tries to like snipe me, they can snipe them. So that's really cool strategy. And it's something I just go with. Like, you can't really beat that strategy no matter what you do. You just can't beat it. Because it's like, if you're focusing on me, then you're going to lose. And if you focus on them, you're going to lose because they're just really good players. I always have good teammates. Let's see, what else do we have? I guess I kind of want to talk about this one time that I went to Washington, D.C., and like these FBI agents came up to me. There was 3 of them, 2 men and a woman, and they were asking me a lot of questions, and I was just like, so like, you guys know I'm the Messiah, right? Like, I'm like, I'm a witch, like I can use magic. And right when I said that, a huge tree branch broke and fell right next to them. And they were just looking at me, and I was like, yeah, what else? Like, I just kept answering questions. I kept telling them everything I know. And I was just like, so what's up? Like, and even the church was like, you don't have to talk to them if you don't want to. So for me, that lets me know that, like, I'm on some kind of watch list, right? So that lets me know, because, I mean, why would the FBI talk to me? They were like, well, your username was Cherry Bomber or something like that. And that's because I love Bomberman, and he uses cherry bombs to blow things up. And he's not a terrorist, he's a hero, right? I love Bomberman. I even have a painting up there of him that I made. It's super cute. So then I was like, you know what? I can't use that name because it's too controversial. So I'm like, all right, Castle Demon Lord. Like, who can say anything about Castle Demon Lord? Like, really, like, what can you say? I was watching this video about like this exorcist talking to somebody about like the Antichrist, or about the Antichrist and about the mark of the beast. It doesn't have to be a literal chip. It doesn't have to be like some kind of thing, but it can be. I would love it for it to be that. But at the moment, it's more of a belief system. Like, do you believe the Messiah exists? Do you believe I'm the Messiah? And even if you do believe or you don't believe, are you working for me or against me? And I think that's the most important part, right? So, like, when you take the mark of the beast, you're supposed to worship the Antichrist. So if I'm the Antichrist, you have to worship me. And you have to, like, exalt me like you would God, right? And not even just like God, as God. Because in all contexts, if in every single freaking cartoon, every video game that they mention that there's, like, a chosen one or a Messiah, like this, your main character, they end up becoming God, right? They end up becoming, like, the hero. And everybody, like, they first start off hating the character. They'll just like, we hate that character. But at the end of the video game, they're like, we love that character. They saved us. They did everything that they could. Like, they went through all that trouble just to help us. And it's like, that's what I do. But still, at the end of the day, nobody's like on my team, right? So I have to pull those strings. I have to trip those wires. I have to get everybody moving together. I was just watching like this Matrix thing as well about like this program. She's like half human, half AI, right? And that's kind of what I'm kind of like half human, obviously, because I have this body, but my spirit is like God. So it's like, how does this one thing exist like that? Like, you have the same thing, but it's different. Yours is more like your body, and then God is, you're connected to God, right? And there's this like tunnel, but then mine is just like just my body and just God, and then you guys are connected to me, right? So it's more like you guys are my tentacles and I'm the body, right? If you've ever read the Illuminati trilogy, I haven't read the books. I don't think I would be able to, but if I ever got the chance to read them, I would. But I just listened to them on YouTube. There's like videos of them like being narrated, and somebody's reading the book, and it's just so good. It's so good, and they use pictures too. They're so funny. But it talks about, like, at the end, like, there's this Cthulhu creature. It has one eye, and it lives at the bottom of the ocean, and it has tons of tentacles. It's like this nightmare creature, and it's super old. And people usually look at it as the demiurge, but that's God, right? Because the demiurge and God are the same thing. They're not separate. So basically, the demiurge is God's, how would I put this? So people think the demiurge is this demigod. So if you have God and you imagine him, you're like, okay, who's God? He's the guy in the sky. He watches over all of us. He has all these angels, and he's in charge of the world. And somehow he can make anything happen. And then you have the demiurge, which is this idea that it's the same thing, that there's this guy in the sky watching the world, has all these angels, and is controlling the earth, but he's not the real God. That doesn't make sense, right? Because how could there be one God and then another God, and then one is existing while the other is existing? That doesn't make sense. So it's kind of like saying, before we go, let me just remember my dream from last night. I had a dream that I was like at this trailer park, and I was laying down and I was being healed because I was around like really bad people. And I had the U wand, the wand from Voldemort, and I was holding his wand. And my friend, he was helping me. He was like chiseling them, like to be like, you know what, let me sand down these wands for you and let me figure them out. And they had different faces on them, they had different scales and different meanings. And I was like listening and being very attentive because it was like speaking through it. And it was saying something about like there's this weird beauty to the wand. It was strange. It had very many faces on it. And then he finally figured it out, and it became like this wand, but it had Jesus on it. And then it had like these needles on it, and then it was almost like a puppet, and it was very bloody and scary. And I was like, whoa, that's creepy but freaking cool. Like, tell me what you think about it. And he's like, all right. He's like, well, the Antichrist or Voldemort or you, because that's your wand. You have this wand that when people see it, they see Jesus. But then what they don't realize is that you have like this poison in there, and then that poison attacks them. And I'm like, whoa, that's so cool. Like, it just made me think, like, I can make something out of that, right? I like using this magical wand that is like very holy, but like uses that holiness to just poison everything, right? To just destroy all humanity. I think there's a lot of stories about a well and it being poisoned and all these other things. I think those are important messages that we could probably like look into later. Yeah, I love the U wand. I love Voldemort because during Christmas time, I did get that wand. And I was like, whoa, like, what are the odds I would get this wand? Like, the wand chooses the wizard, right? And that wand chose me. And I'm like, yeah, Death Eater, what's up? But most people are afraid of Voldemort, and I love Voldemort. He used to scare me when I was younger, too, because he is that Antichrist figure, and I used to be scared of that. And I used to be like, you know what? Like, I don't ever want to be on that team. But now that I'm older and wiser and I've gone through a lot of pain and turmoil, I'm like, all right, the only way to win is through destruction. Like, Voldemort was right. Like, the humans aren't going to treat me right. They're going to treat me like a mythological creature. They're not going to believe that I'm real. They're just going to, like, pretend I don't exist. And even if I do, they're going to fight me, right? And that's why wizards are always hidden. But, like, they can win if they just work together. And even if they didn't work together, look at Voldemort. He would beat everybody just by himself. He was a powerhouse. The only person that could stop him was Harry. And if you think about it, like, Harry, Draco, and Voldemort are probably the same character. Oh, I wanted to talk about that. In Yu-Gi-Oh, you have... In Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, alright. So you have Jaden and you have Jesse, right? So Jesse has the Crystal Beast. Jaden has the Heroes. But if we look at Yu-Gi-Oh, you have Yugi and Seto. And I think GX is kind of maybe their fantasy almost, like inside their head or something, because they're on an island, they're in the middle of nowhere. It's just like unrealistic in a sense. But somehow Yugi gives Jaden the Winged Kuriboh, kind of like, hey, like a new life, right? So I think Yugi is Jaden, because Jaden is like, what if Yugi was Seto, and what if Seto was Yugi, right? So what if Yugi, instead of being like really nice or like friendly, and he was more like Seto Kaiba, he would be like Jaden. And if Jesse was more like Yugi, he would be, if Seto was more like Yugi, he would be Jesse, right? Because Jesse's like this really good duelist, but he's all about like learning about other people and like really bringing out the best in them. And then Jaden's always about winning, and he never quits, and he wants to prove that he's the best. And that's Seto Kaiba. He wants to prove that he's the best. Yugi doesn't want to prove that he's the best. Yugi just wants to have fun, and that's what Jesse wants. But Jaden has the Winged Kuriboh, and Jesse has the dragon, right? So it's like, oh, like if Seto was a good guy, he would be Jesse. And if Yugi was the bad guy, he would be Jaden, because Jaden becomes the Supreme King, right? So it's like this really cool duality almost that you noticed. I think it's Cyrus and Zane. I think they're brothers, right? And then, okay, so it would be Cyrus and Chaz. That would be Yugi and Seto. And then Zane and Alexis's brother, I forgot his name. Alexis? I don't know. They would be also, so there's 3 different versions of like Yugi and Kaiba. So yeah, so you see Zane, he's like very super strong. He has the cyber dragons, right? And then what's his name? Alexis Rhodes' brother has Atticus. Atticus has Red Eye's black dragon, and there's just a lot you can like kind of dive into. And even with Cyrus and Chaz has dragons as well, the armed dragons, and then Cyrus has those little helicopter things. So it was kind of showing like, and then if you look at the relationship between Zane and Atticus, it's kind of almost like Jesse and Jaden. And then I guess Chaz and Cyrus would be kind of there too. So it just shows these different levels of like love for each other, like this masculine love, right? Like male and male love. But then also Jaden has this duality where he's like half feminine and half masculine. So he has Yubel and he has the Supreme King inside of him. He's like both sides. Like he's feminine and he's masculine. And he's all about that fusion. And fusion's important because it represents like a combination or a mold of somebody, right? Because it could be like this. It's almost like Vril energy, Kundalini energy. So that's that sexual energy. That's why the fusion is like a spiral. And it's like a fluid movement. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you look at the cyber dragons, I guess they were made by a German scientist, and they're supposed to be blue eyes white dragons. And blue eyes white dragon was supposed to belong to Yugi at first, like that was like the initial process. But I think the Yukazaki Takahashi, whatever his name is, he wanted to give Yugi a friend and a friend for Yugi, so that's why he had Seto with the blue eyes and Yugi with the dark magician. And they're both mirrors of each other because the blue eyes white dragon is supposed to represent Yugi, and the dark magician is supposed to represent Seto Kaiba, because Seto Kaiba has a millennium rod, he's a high priest, and that's what the dark magician is. Yugi is supposed to be represented by Horus, and Horus is like the divine god, you know, like the Jesus, the messianic figure. And he's like the king, he's the pharaoh. That's what the Messiah is supposed to be. He's the message from God, he's the gift from God, he's the he is God completely in human form. And that's why Yugi can summon the gods, and even like the Exodia god and things like that. Yeah, and Yugi's grandpa passes it down to him, etc., etc. He was the king of games. He went through a whole bunch of different games that were like pretty gruesome, but maybe like more gangster. And then Yugi had to do it where it's more like lighthearted and fun, but there was a lot of darkness involved in it. And Yugi, he uses like, okay, so what I'm also noticing is that like the little eye will glow on his forehead. And it's kind of like the Millennium Necklace and the Millennium Eye. I guess it's like the Millennium Eye, right? Like, it's this Millennium item, but it's part of him. So it's like almost as if like the Millennium items, they're not separate parts. They're all connected to Yugi. They're all connected to Yama Yugi. Like, even if there were no Millennium items, Yugi could use all those abilities still. He could still tap into your mind. He could still tap into your heart. He can still transform you. Like, everything that the Millennium items could do, Yugi can do. But somehow, like, those Millennium items become, I guess, kind of prisons for Yugi, right? Because everybody gets a piece of him. And that's kind of what Yugi teaches, is that, like, he likes to make friends, and he wants to share parts of himself with other people, and he wants to give them gifts. But sometimes I think it could be a bad thing, because now, like, let's say Yugi did exist right now, because that's my character, right? So I exist and I'm alone. I don't have friends like that. Sure, I make friends and I really love them, but I have a higher purpose, and if I can't fulfill that higher purpose, there's somebody holding me back, and it's because I gave everybody those treasures to be able to, like, be a part of something, but they use those treasures for evil, right? Like they don't use it to help me, they use it to help themselves, and that's not right. So it's kind of like having to take that power back, and Yugi does do that. He takes back the Millennium items, he gives it back to the earth, and he sends the pharaoh away, but he has to realize that he is the pharaoh. Like that's just his power. He's gonna always be, Yugi is always gonna be more powerful. Like he's spiritually more powerful than any other being on the earth. Like physically he could be weak and frail, but spiritually he's stronger, and that's more important. But in reality, strength is important. That's why Seto's always like, you know what, Yugi, like it's better to be strong in the physical world than in the spiritual world, because if you're strong in the physical world, nobody can push you over. But if you're weak in this world, then you're gonna get screwed over. But if you have like a really, but Yugi's like, I believe in the heart, like I believe in the spirit. Like if I can be a better person on the inside, then it'll make a better difference on the outside, right? But that's not always true, and Seto's right about a lot of things, and I think Yugi has to, in a sense, my character, right? So I have to be able to say, all right, I can use these Millennium items for evil, but I know that it's gonna be for a good cause. And that's kind of, I was watching Asmongold, and he was saying things like, yeah, it's okay to kill people if it's for the right cause. It's okay to go to war with other places if it's for the right cause. And he's right, it's true. And I don't think it's something that like normal people should worry about. I think it's something that like military people should worry about. But if the military's not doing it, and then the lower people have to worry about that, and even if I have to, like that lets me know that there's something wrong with the algorithm, because I'm supposed to be doing all the work, like, but I'm also supposed to be spoiled and helped, right? So like I'm supposed to be the commander-in-chief, I'm supposed to be the high priest, I'm supposed to be the king. That's all my job, and everybody else is doing my job. So it's like I gotta take it back, and I just have to keep influencing the world. I had to keep putting out my spells and my rituals and the word, you know, and getting people to start thinking a little bit more better with their heads, whether or not they're my enemies or my allies. I'm just here to destroy everything, and if they are my allies, then it doesn't matter if you're an ally or an enemy. At least die with some dignity, die with some virtue. Like there's a good reason to die. Dying is a good thing, because it's like you're living for something. If you don't die for something, then you're not living, and you're not real, you're not true. So everybody has a reason for why they exist, right? They all have a reason to why they're going to try. So I think those are good things to think about, and we'll just figure out where it goes from here, and we'll just have fun with it. All right, bye.